Hi guys, it's Dr. Madray from Progressive Pediatrics, and I'm here to talk to you today about introducing solid foods to your baby. So we get this question a lot in the clinic. When can we start trying, and how do we know that our baby is ready? So signs for readiness are that your baby can hold their head and their neck up and they have good control, that their head's not wobbly. Also that their chest and their abdomen have good muscle control. What that means, they don't have to sit up by themselves, but when you're holding them, they're more stable and they're able to keep upright. Also, this is readiness for when you put them in a chair, an infant feeding seat, that they're able to hold that up. The reason why we look for this is so that there's less risk of a choking hazard, so they can protect their airway. Other signs of readiness are sometimes when you guys are eating, if your baby opens their mouth when they see your food, or they show interest in grabbing and they want some. Other signs of readiness are that when you're feeding, you notice that they're not thrusting out or spitting out their tongue when you're feeding them with the milk. That's also another sign. So usually these things happen around 4 months. So when you bring them in for our visit, our well child check at 4 months, we can discuss this and we can also assess their muscle strength. And feel free to bring questions about this during our visits as well. So ways you can start by doing this, we say around 4 months, we see we have good head and neck control and our baby's really interested in what we're eating. So what you can try is a rice cereal. Make sure that it's iron fortified and that it's for babies, not just regular adult rice or oatmeal. So what you can do is take the breast milk or the formula, put a little bit of that in a small amount of rice cereal, give it to them in a spoon. And if they're spitting it out and they're thrusting it out with their tongue, they're dribbling it on their chin, they may not be ready for it. Or because they're also used to that liquid consistency of the formula and the breast milk. So sometimes you may need to thin it out a little bit and slowly thicken it. But if they're taking it and they're able to move it to the back of their throat and swallow, that's a good sign to continue. You never want to force them or force feed them. They'll tell you when they're ready. So if we notice that that's normal and that they are ready to try new things, what you can do is start with purees. So there's no evidence that if you eat fruits first, you're not going to want vegetables or vice versa. So you can feel free to try fruits and vegetables. Our rule of thumb is that you take it and you can puree it, or you can boil it down so you can put it in a blender and then it's mashed up, kind of the consistency of an applesauce or a mashed potatoes. Our rules there are mainly for safety. It's not about the first introduction or do we do peas first or carrots or apples. So what we do is introduce one new food by itself and wait 3 to 5 days before introducing a new food. The reason is we want to make sure that our baby is not allergic to anything. So we want to look out for reactions. So we have a good list and then we have a bad list. Other things you can do to advance their diet, when they get closer around 6 months, around 9 months in that age group, you'll notice they start having a big grasp and they like to take things and they like to try and feed themselves, or they can transfer from hand to hand. So those are signs that we're ready to do a bit more of the solid foods, but cut up. So we can have them mashed, we can have them pureed, and we can also have soft solids. So what soft solids are that, say we have carrots, say we have chicken, say we have any peas, any strawberries. We want to make sure that they're soft, that they can be mashed with a fork. And our big rule here as they get older is that we want to cut them up into small pieces that are very bite-sized so they don't choke on them. So for instance, one of the big ones are grapes. So for grapes, they're very slippery and they're a perfect size to get lodged in their throat, and it can provide a big choking hazard. So you want to make sure to cut it up into quarters or even 6 pieces for each grape. Our other thing is the question that we get most is about allergies, like I mentioned before. So some of the most allergenic foods are eggs, peanuts, tree nuts. So for those, it's actually been shown that if you introduce it earlier, the less likely they are to have an allergic reaction. So it's recommended to definitely introduce the eggs and peanuts before 1 year old. Big tips with the peanuts. Peanuts, almonds, those type of butters can be a choking hazard as well, because it's so thick that can actually have their palate and their mouth and their tongue, and it can cause them to choke on that or not be able to breathe. So what you want to do if you want to introduce the peanuts or anything in a butter, always make sure you dilute it down so it's very, very thin and liquidy. You can put it on a piece of a wafer cracker that's dissolvable in some Cheerios, or you can actually put it with a little bit of banana that's mashed up, just to introduce it that way. Remember, if you guys have any questions or concerns, you can always bring this up with us at any visit or give us a call just to discuss. Remember, at Progressive Pediatrics, you can always give us a call, and we can't wait to see you in the office.